Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tinker with Tools. Tonight we're going to be covering the brand new Gen 4 hammer drill and comparing it to its predecessor, the Gen 3 Milwaukee fuel hammer drill. So let's get right into that on Tinker with Tools. Alright, so when it comes to the new M18 fuel hammer drill, you want to know what the differences are? Well, on first glance, you're not going to see a lot of visual differences. The red ring at the front got a little bit thicker. The selector switch has changed a little bit. This one does seem just a tiny bit more compact, although if you really look at it, they're fairly darn close. So then what is the difference and why did they need to have a Gen 4 versus the previous Gen 3? Well, the Gen 4 did get 200 inch-pounds of increased torque. It did get another 100 RPMs in its speed 2. And the Gen 4 did get its new auto stop technology, which does prevent the tool from twisting out of your hand if it binds up. So without wasting anyone's time, let's go ahead and get into the comparison between these two. We'll show you how they go through our standard test. We also have a new test tonight. Finally broke down and purchased the 2 9/16 switchblade bit from Milwaukee. So we'll have a go at that on a board and see what these two can do. So first let's see the specs and then let's get right into the testing. All right, we are going to start first with the Gen 3. For testing, we are using an XE 6.0 high output battery, and we do have a full charge. All right, so the first test we are going to be doing is a 5-inch SPAC screw. And I forgot to mention, we are doing this in speed 2 to start with. All right, and now with the Gen 4. And now we'll go straight to a 6-inch SPACs. All right, now the 6-inch SPACs with the Gen 4. And now we're doing the Gen 3 with the 5-inch power lag. Go. And now with the Gen 4. There's some of those that I'm gonna have a hard time getting out of that wood. And now we are gonna be doing a 6-inch timber lock first with the Gen 3. Go. And now a 6-inch timber lock with the Gen 4. 1. And now we're gonna be doing a 6-inch timber lock first with the Gen 3. Go. I think I misspoke. If I said 6-inch timber lock, that's an 8-inch timber lock. And now we're gonna be doing the 8-inch with the Gen 4. That felt supercharged. All right, so this is a new test for us. We are just gonna be doing a 5.5-inch by 5/16 lag screw. So a little bit stiffer challenge than some of those previous ones. We are still in speed 2 in drill mode. All right, and now finally, the last driving test for the Gen 4. Okay, we'll have to see that time. That one actually cut out just a moment before. I think the times on some of those other ones, we're gonna see the Gen 4 win this test. It's just going to be a question of how much, whether it's that 20% margin we saw with the impact drivers or if it's going to be more of a margin. So now we're gonna move over to the drilling test. All right, so over here at the drilling test, we're gonna be going first through a 2x4. So we are gonna be going first with 1-inch Diablo Speed Demon. Nice and quick. All right, and now we are going with the Gen 4 and the 1-inch Speed Demon. All right, and now we're moving up to the 1-inch Spider boring bit, first with the Gen 3. And it did split the wood there a little bit, but I still think it's probably a pretty representative time. 1-inch Spider bit in the Gen 4. Okay, now we're gonna be switching over to a 4x4. And so now we are stepping up to the 4x4. We have the Gen 3 with an 1.25 inch Spider spade bit. All right, now with the Gen 4, same 1.25 bit. Okay, that was through. For some reason, didn't eject the chips very well in that hole, and so it kind of got bound up right at the very end. All right, and now we are stepping up to the 1.5 inch Spider bit, first with the Gen 3. Okay, that was through. And now the Gen 4. This is where I'd expect to start seeing some separation on these tests. Okay, we are gonna tack on that little bit of extra time there because it did not feel like it was through. So technically we did get a bind up, but we are going to push on. And now, typically our final test, we are gonna do one more tonight, but this is the 1 3/4 Irwin speed bore bit. That is just a nice bit for how much those larger spade bits really kind of shake your tool. That Irwin just kind of goes straight through stuff. And now with the Gen 4, go. On that bit, that felt pretty even. And now first time on our channel, we've got the 2 9/16 bit from Milwaukee, the switchblade bit, and we are gonna be trying to go through a pressure treated 2x8, first with the Gen 3. Wow, that is a ride. All right, and now with the Gen 4, the 2 9/16 switchblade. Okay, it is stalling with this one, weird. It's not indicating that it is the auto stop technology. Let's go through in speed 1. Obviously plenty of power to do it in speed 1. All right, so I won't have seen the times, you will. If I had to guess, I would say that in majority of the tests, the Gen 4 actually came out victorious, but by a small margin. Obviously on that last test on our 2 9/16 bit, I was shocked when the Gen 3 went through that with no problem in speed 2, and then equally shocked when the Gen 4 struggled. Now, it is still a new tool. Obviously, I try and break the tools in, but it still could be in some sort of breaking in period. I'm just trying to give a fair review of it. I would have expected it to go through that test without any trouble, and so to see it have to kick down to speed 1, it did kind of surprise me. All right, so let's talk what I think about the drills. My first impression of the Gen 4 was that there was not a whole lot here that felt different than the Gen 3. I thought by doing these tests, I might start to see some separation and feel differently about that. If anything, it's made me feel more that there is very little difference between the Gen 3 and the Gen 4 when it really comes down to it. Specs on paper are one thing. Using the tool, that's where you start to really tell what it's made of, and this is not a bad drill by any means. I don't want that to be the takeaway from this. It simply is not as big a leap forward as what we might have hoped for, but it was already one of the better drills. I believe in my testing, with the tests that I do, it was one of the top 3 or 4. I know that the Makita 40 volt beat it. I think it was either then that and then the Flex, or the Flex and then that, but I hadn't tried the Flex with the stacked lithium battery, so I suspect Flex would gain some time there. So all those drills, the Metabo HPT 36 volt, this, and the Flex, they're all kind of packed right together, and then the Makita XGT kind of blew everyone out of the water. This is a great drill, and the auto stop technology on it is a worthy improvement for the drill. It's just not going to be light years ahead of where the Gen 3 is. Now, I'll have shown this in a short already, but I actually have a problem with my Gen 3 where, as you can see right now, I've got a fully charged battery, or it's the battery we used on the test, but nothing is happening on the drill. So I'm actually going to be sending this drill off for service now. I wanted to get through this testing. It doesn't impact the function of the tool. You just have to swap it out onto a different drill for a different tool for a second, then bring it back, and the thing operates just fine. These two, more than any of the new generation of tools, look and feel like the same tool if you're not paying close attention. This is kind of a side note, but it's worth mentioning. This is the Gen 3 handle, and in addition to the screw that's part of the handle that goes through there, there's a little bar that connects these two pieces together. They can still slide around on it, so you can open and close them, but it connects it together. It is gone on this one, and so these two pieces just spin freely. And honestly, it kind of makes it a pain in the butt to get them on the tool as easily as what this handle was. And also with the case they provide you, you cannot store the handle fully assembled in the case. You have to unscrew those two pieces, store them separately, and store the handle separately. Now, if you're not using the handle a whole lot, maybe that's not a big deal, but they had a good handle, and maybe for space saving, they decided to eliminate that little bar, and it just made the whole thing a little bit worse. When it comes down to it, should you upgrade from the Gen 3 to this Gen 4? I think unless your Gen 3 just isn't working for you, I don't think the Gen 4 is going to be a light year upgrade for it. It is a great drill. If your Gen 3 kicks the bucket and it's just time to get a new drill, and you like the Gen 3, I think you're gonna like the Gen 4. There's really not that much difference with it, and I think it will be a good drill, and I think we may see it beat the Gen 3 in some times. I do think there'll be some times where the Gen 3 wins as well. So they really are quite close. You know, on paper you see that, you know, near 20% increase in power, you see a small increase in speed, and you expect it to be translated to something tangible that you notice. And unfortunately, in this case, you know, they really felt pretty close, other than on some of the driving tests, the Gen 3 felt like it was going to have a slower time than this one. But on some of those drilling tests, I would dare to say that the Gen 3 might have beat the Gen 4. And so it's a great drill, just not necessarily worth upgrading just to upgrade. Have a reason to do it. And I don't think Milwaukee has the best drill in the market. I do still think that's the Makita 40 volt XGT. I love that drill. I think it's a great drill. Flex has a great drill as well. And I think that there are going to be others, Metabo HPT, that can offer a really great product, possibly at an even better price. So when it comes down to it, I don't think this is the tool that's going to draw you to Milwaukee's lineup like it maybe once was, just because others have caught up. And although this is still competitive, it's not light years ahead, and it's not a reason to just go with Milwaukee because of this tool. So we'll report back on the status of the Gen 3 once I get it back from service, but we are going to send that off here now that I've done this testing. So thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and thanks for watching this. If you like what you saw, please hit that like button. More importantly, if you want to keep seeing great content from Tinker with Tools, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can see when I put out new videos. All right, so then if you have any other questions about either the Gen 3 or the Gen 4, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. Or if you have an idea for how you want these tools tested, go ahead and let me know in those comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Tinker with Tools.